What's up? I'm Seb and this is my first YouTube video, or at least the first YouTube video that I talk to the camera. But anyway, I wanted to make this video because I've recently picked up a lens that I think you might find quite interesting. So I was looking for a lens that would actually be a bit different from what I already have and add some character to the photos and the videos that I take. So I dug a little bit deeper into some vintage lenses and I did buy some of those. However, the one that stood out to me the most and the one that impressed me the most is Canon FD50 f1.4. So as you probably know, if you are a full frame user or even APS-C user, that such fast lenses as 1.4 or 1.8 are usually pretty expensive. The fact that you can buy the lens which is 1.4 for $100, I think it's a really good deal. So if the specs are so good, the only question that remains is how is the performance? So actually, all of the photos that you see right now were taken with Sony a7 III, Canon FD50 f1.4 at 1.4. I didn't stop it down. And you know, I was really surprised how good the quality wide open was. It's obviously not like super sharp wide open, but if you do want to post something on Instagram or Facebook, I think it's perfectly usable. But anyway, I do think that nowadays we compare lenses in terms of sharpness, zooming it in like 500% and comparing sharpness of the lenses, and the differences are so minor that an average user can't really say which is which. Yeah, I think that this lens wide open is perfectly usable. However, if you do want to get some high resolution photos out of this lens, you can definitely do so. You just have to step down the lens to 2.8 and it's not only sharper, but you do get rid of the color fringing as well. And what's also super cool about this lens is the bokeh that it produces. So obviously at 1.4 it creates a really shallow depth of field, but what even stood out to me more than the super shallow depth of field is the kind of beeziness that this bokeh has. For many people nowadays this beeziness isn't really attractive. However, I do find it interesting and quite appealing to me because it's just so different from what I'm used to. And yeah, I just enjoy it using so much because it's just so different from other lenses that I own. So as it is a vintage lens, you do have to focus manually, but I think that with the current technology that we have in our bodies, like focus magnifier and focus peaking, I think that manual focusing is really a breeze, and you shouldn't really be discouraged by the fact that the lens is manual and, you know, just be afraid to use it, because, you know, as I said, with the focus peaking and with the focus magnifier you can be really precise when it comes to focusing. However, you do have to bear in mind that you would rather use this lens in a pre-planned occasions. It's not really a run and gun kind of lens unless you are super good at manual focusing. So as I was reading a bit more about vintage lenses, I also found out that there is such a thing as extension tube that can make a macro lens out of the vintage lens. And I did first try this extension tube on my M42 lenses. However, there was always some kind of weird flaring and I wasn't really super satisfied with the quality that I got out of those lenses. So when I did buy the Canon FD50 f1.4, I did find out that the minimal focus distance is like 45 centimeters. So I thought this would be a good idea to buy an extension tube as well. Yeah, and so I did buy one and I paid like $10, and I was really surprised how good the quality of the macro shots were. There was no really a flaring, and at 2.8 the quality, to me at least, is really good. By any means, I'm not a macro expert. I didn't really own a macro lens before, so I couldn't really say if it's any good compared to a real macro lens. However, in my opinion, it's really good and I'm definitely going to use it. So on the market, you can find many other vintage lenses which are not only 1.4 but some of them are even 1.2. However, they're obviously more expensive, and I don't think it's so much worth it having 1.2 over 1.4, especially paying more and not really getting much more brightness and much more shallow depth of field. And that's why I picked this one, and I definitely think that it's the best bang for the buck that you can get when you are looking for a vintage lens. That would be it for this video. If you are curious and you do want to check out how those photos look in RAW, you can download them below. And yeah, as I said, this is my first YouTube video. I hope this didn't go too bad, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.